we'll actually get into another documentary, the Johnny Manziel documentary, which was insane. It was crazy. And I actually had a Money Manziel shirt, but I did not have time. And my closet is a mess, so I didn't have time to dig through, try to find it, or I was going to wear it today. But
or is that just an excuse to say that it doesn't fit anymore?
No, I'm pretty sure it still fits.
I had to ask
because it might not be as loose fitting, but it still would fit.
Because there's a lot of people we went to college and high school where you look at them nowadays and you're like, wow.
Guilty. But
that's all I'm gonna say. But wow.
But he had the motto, "Win or lose, we still booze," and they boozed. You know, he talks about how there was the pictures of him in a Scooby-Doo costume, and when they were in their walkthrough, he was sweating profusely, and like the coaches were questioning if he was going to be able to play. And Cliff Kingsbury looks over at him and he said, "You better play good tomorrow," and goes and has one of his best games of all time, or one of the best games of his career.
That was before the Mississippi State one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that his freshman year?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
But he talks about signing autographs where he would fly down to Miami once a month, go sign a bunch of autographs, and then they take a picture. The guy that he was signing the autographs for would give him the code to the safe in the hotel room, and there'd be like just 30 grand sitting in there.
Like, I had two big takeaways from this. One, everything that was said, none of it really surprised me. No. It was all very believable based off of like the minimal information we had just from clips from here and there. And the second one, the NCAA needs new lawyers. The fact that they never found anything on him during their investigation, and all they did was make up a lie about where his family's wealth came from, and like they literally bought it without digging whatsoever. How much time and just holy shit, he'd been so screwed. He never would have been in the NFL. Not that he probably deserved it, but they did nothing. Like, I don't know what investigation they did, but it sure wasn't. They literally just, and it was done.
It was. I mean, they put it all in cash, and then they gave it to Johnny's grandpa. And Grandpa, can you write a check for me so this can go into my account?
I mean, dude, that is the easiest. That should be the easiest thing for investigators to crack.
Well, then they're wondering how he gets all these private jets. Oh, we come from oil money.
Yeah.
His parents did not have oil money. None of his family did.
No, I looked this up online. It was his like great grandpa came from was on the ground floor of one of the companies, but his parents were actually were kind of worked their way up. So, it's not like his parents were poor or anything like that. No. They still did very well for themselves. But when they got married and they had when they met and got married, they were bartenders. And then his dad got in owned a construction company or something like that. And, worked his way up to successful. But yeah, they basically convinced them that their family was on the ground floor and were the ones that were the ones that drilled oil on land and built it into a huge oil company of whatever it was, which wasn't the case at all.
No.
And his best friend Nate Fitch at the time was basically his agent, and he was the one that was organizing all of it, and they would split it 80-20.
And he was when they came up with the whole plan to kind of get away from the NCAA. Just nuts. Then you get to the NFL. The NFL part might be even crazier than what his college was. His college was
That's exactly what I thought too, Ethan, was that when they the college high school, or that was when he talked about how it was I was getting all this money, and this is where it turns sad, is that Johnny Football, he talks about it in one of the first scenes, is talking about how he wanted to be Johnny Football all the time because Johnny Football never had a bad day, and it was in a sense his alter ego, and he just kept feeding that and feeding that. He forgot about being just Johnny Manziel, and that was where it was like he wanted that fame, he wanted the money, and when he got it all, it just got to be like, okay, this is it, this is all it is. And that was when he got into the deep depression and got into drugs. And I'm sure, Grant, you saw the reports about him talking about how he attempted suicide, and he talks a little bit about it, and he's just said that when he got cut from the Browns, and at that time he kind of cut off, like he didn't have a relationship with his family, and they were saying like, you're doing this all on purpose for a reason. And he was, and then he didn't know what it meant, but everybody was just kind of like, we gotta just let him go. Like, this is not good. And Johnny just kind of gave him the double middle fingers, like, okay, you guys thought I was an asshole now. Like, I just won the Heisman. I have all this cash. Why do I have to go to practice? Why do I have to do all this studying? And, he talked about, and, he said, okay, you guys thought I was an asshole. You're really going to see me go full asshole. And that was when he said he went on a $5 million bender, and eventually said that once I burn through it all, he was just going to take his life. And he said he got to that point and he bought a gun that was going to do it. And when he was getting ready to do it, he said just for some reason, doesn't know why, I guess the gun just clicked. And he's still with us, and then he showed up at his parents' door. He's like, I have nowhere to go.
What led to him being cut, Grant, the night before the game, like not even Saturday, like not a Saturday morning, like literally Saturday night, he flew across the country, went to Vegas, just absolutely went hard, missed the last flight back to where the game was being played.
Oh,
and at that point he said, fuck it.
To Cleveland. Yeah,
it was Cleveland. Yeah, he said, fuck it. And he just stayed out there and he didn't even tell the team he wasn't coming.
Yeah. And he was
shit.
At the time, he was hurt. He was in concussion protocol, and he was supposed to go to the facility Sunday morning as like a routine procedural checkup, which is the protocol, and he missed it. And because he was out partying in Vegas in a blonde wig and glasses. That story is 100% confirmed true.
Mm-hmm. Yep. He had a mustache and a wig.
I really never liked Johnny Football. I always thought he was an arrogant douchebag. And some of these stories just kind of sounds like that confirms that.
The day before he was supposed to be drug tested at the combine, he smoked a week before he smoked a shit ton of weed. He'd been clean like the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Then he just broke, smoked a shit ton of weed, and his agent wanted his dad to fake a heart attack that morning and go to the hospital. So Manziel had to leave the combine and wouldn't have to drug test.
Jesus Christ.
So prior to the combine, he was, like Ethan said, he was completely clean. He was going good. And then one day, like the week before, said he woke up at a house in Las Vegas, has no idea how he got there, doesn't remember anything that happened, just woke up. He's like, I don't know if I can pass a drug test. And I guess when they get to the combine, they're in the hotel room. There was like 5 or 6 like NFL executives that were in there. They're holding like gallons of water, Pedialyte, and Johnny starts going. He's peeing. He's chugging these liquids that kind of dilute the samples, which is why I think they implemented that, where like if you're past like a certain color, that your sample you can't get an accurate reading, so it's thrown out and you have to come back later and take it. And they're just chugging water. They take one, and then it's pretty light. The next one, it's like extremely light. He's like, oh, we are good. We're good to go. We're ready to roll. And he crushes the interviews, has a great combine, and then steam actually starts picking up. And the Texans were essentially like locked in that they were going to take him. He goes down to Houston for a visit with the Texans, crushes that, and then he's on a golf course that the owners of the Texans also own. And I guess by the 5th hole, he had his shirt off. He was snapping golf clubs over his knee and throwing them into a pond.
Jesus Christ.
And then it gets crazier. Is he had a private workout with the Browns in College Station. And they go to dinner the night before. I guess the dinner, he crushes the dinner, everything. And then that morning, his agent's like scrambling, trying to find him, looking for him. They get up to the hotel room. One of the receivers is missing. The other one is too drunk to go. And Johnny goes there. He's there. And they're trying to get these receivers there. And his lawyer and agent go and throw is who he's throwing to. And I guess the one of the media guys, they asked Johnny how it went. He's like, "Oh man, I crushed it." And then it gets to draft day. It cuts to his dad, and his this part's so funny. Goes, "Yeah," and Johnny slips because teams did their homework.
Oh, God.
But there was.
He also had the 4th string quarterback take his P test in college.
Yep.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, guys, because I started watching Euphoria this weekend, and Zendaya is the main character, and she's just got out of rehab, and there's multiple times where when she goes to her house, her mom has to make her take a drug test to see if she's clean or not, and she uses a French sample. She knocks on the door before and says, "Hey, Alexis, can you do something for me?" "Yeah, what's that?" "Can you pee in this cup so I don't get in trouble when I go home from my mom?"
I will say Johnny is smarter than that one guy that just got caught. That got drug tested and came back as he was pregnant. Because he used his girlfriend's. He used his like. I don't know if it was a girlfriend or friend or whatever. Yeah, took a drug test, used her urine. She was pregnant.
Oh,
But
Incredible.
that's fantastic. Was that the dude who got cut by the Rams on Hard Knocks a couple years ago?
it might have
no?
been.
Oh, because I saw a video on Facebook or somewhere today that it said this guy's girlfriend ruined his career, and who knows, it could be that guy where he took his girlfriend's urine and tried to use it as a drug test and failed miserably.
Yeah. But
Just
yeah,
incredible.
it was. And well, because there was some talk on 2 of the 3 people on this podcast, 2/3 of their NFL teams there were talks about him getting drafted to either the Vikings or the Cowboys. And we go back to the 2014 draft, which is when it happened. The Vikings choose Anthony Barr. Now, Ethan, were you holding out any hope? Did you want Johnny Football?
Absolutely not. No, I said nothing. I wanted nothing to do with him.
Okay.
Cody Magnuson
Fair
did,
enough.
but we were watching it, and he was so pissed they weren't taking him, and I was just praying to God they didn't do it.
I think I've told you guys this story, but I know I told Grant this because Grant's already smirking. He knows which one I'm talking about.
Oh, I know what you're only talking about.
So we were all. It was my freshman year. We were in the dorm, and it was kind of towards the end of the year where people were kind of moving stuff. So we didn't. Nobody on my floor had a TV except like one person. So we all move into the study room, hook up the cable and everything. We're watching it, and it gets to the Vikings, and Johnny Football is not taken yet, and everybody like watching with a couple of Vikings fans. They're getting like, "Oh yeah, we're getting him," and Goodell comes out, and with the 9th pick or something the Vikings had that year,
ninth or 8th, yeah.
and Vikings take Anthony Barr. The one guy chucks his hat at the TV and just screams at the top of his lungs, "Fuck you, Spielman!"
So good.
And
Incredible.
I was somebody that I was like, yeah, I kind of want Johnny Romo. I was sick of the interceptions. It was he was getting older. The year before he missed week 17 because he had back surgery, so wasn't able to play in that week 17 winner go home of the what was 3 straight, very painful years of where they had the playoffs in their grasp and blew it, and then we just had Kyle Orton throw a late interception, and so I was thinking, yeah, you know what, they got Romo's getting up there in age, they got to draft his replacement. Johnny is a Texas kid, grew up a Cowboys fan. This is going to be perfect. I loved watching the guy in college. And then they take Zach Martin. Right away, I was a little bit disappointed. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, well, they need line help. Turns out Zach Martin and what ended up being the right pick. And I'm glad he is a Cowboy. It was the right pick. Jerry, or actually, it wasn't even Jerry. Jerry was the one that wanted him. And then Steven said, no, Dad, we're going to take somebody that can help us now, and he's not worth the risk. Steven did his homework. Jerry didn't. And I guess Jerry told him that you're never going to get far if you don't take risks like Johnny Football. Take a risk on a guy like Johnny Football. Well, you were wrong, Dad. Not very often can you say dads are wrong, but this time, Dad was wrong.
Jerry did about as much homework as Manziel did homework on his iPad. So he did zero, Grant, if you didn't see that.
I've heard
he
that.
On this. Yeah, they cut to his agent, and he talks about how he's like, the GM of the team, the head coach, called me and said that Johnny, he watched zero. No, he's got to watch some. No, we can track how many hours he's watched. He's watched zero. They cut to Johnny, and it's just him holding up a zero of the amount of film he watched in college.
He literally was just like, fuck it.
Yeah. But
that's incredible.
So at some point, Grant, you're going to have to watch it because
it was really good.
It was. It was sad to see because it's sad to see anybody get to that point. But it seems like I don't know if he is because he's still the opening scene is him with his buddies and out drinking, which I guess if he's able to handle it, he's able to handle it. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it.